what did we learn today? As somebody, a caller said a couple hours ago that they find Dabo really annoying. I don't think they were a Clemson fan.
Dabo is one of those guys, where generally speaking, anyways, it seems like either you really like him or you really don't. There's not a lot of in between. Some people just, some people aren't going to like him. It just is what it is. He kind of speaks what's on his mind, sometimes probably a little too much. There's been a time or two, I thought he's kind of stuck his foot in his mouth. But overall, I kind of like what Dabo does, what he stands for, how he's built that program there at Clemson, and how he continues to try and evolve what they're doing with the ever-changing landscape that is college football. It's tougher than ever to win in this landscape now, especially now that the playoffs fixing to expand after this year and transfer portal and all that stuff. Man, it's just harder to win than ever. And we'll see if what he does continues to work.
I will state something that probably no other Ohio State fan on the planet would state, and that's that Dabo Swinney's my favorite coach in college football. I don't know the man. I'm not going to vouch for him. If we find out something awful about him tomorrow, it's not like I need to stick up for him or claim him or anything. But based on what I know and what I see, he's my favorite.
I've been around him a little bit, covering Clemson since 2020, away from the camera, if you will.
Yeah.
And I can say from what I've seen with my own eyes, what you see on camera is who he is off camera. He is that guy. I find him to be very genuine. He's very transparent. Don't get me wrong. He runs a very tight ship over there. There's not a lot of leaks to come out about things, and that's understandable in today's sport. I would want it the same way if I was running a college football program, but he's not a hard guy to get along with. Let's put it that way.
Well, I don't know if this Duke team is going to be hard to get along with on Monday night. They might be a little bit of a resistance that a lot of people don't anticipate. We talked about it a little bit with you a couple of weeks ago, and a few callers asked me about this game, and I spit out some stats that I think are pretty remarkable that we talked about recently, with 18 starters coming back for Duke, and anybody who caught a pass last year for Duke is back. Anybody who rushed for 1 yard is back for Duke. All that production on offense, 10 starters. Mike Elko did a remarkable job lifting them from a team that lost 17 of 18 games in the ACC to 9-4 in a bowl victory, and didn't lose to anybody by more than one score. We're in every game, and they're going to be a tough out on Monday night, especially on the road.
I agree. I don't think this is going to be a pushover game for Clemson, especially considering it's the season opener, new offense, relatively new quarterback. He's got one career start. I guess you can consider the Orange Bowl a start. The ACC championship a start too. He played all but 2 series, but new quarterback in a new offense. There's bound to be a hiccup or two here and there. And this is a very experienced Duke team going back to the ACC kickoff and, listening to those guys talk, particularly Riley Leonard. They are very confident. Sounds like they've had this game circled. Mike Elko made no bones about it. This would be if they could find some way to pull this thing off, this would be a program-defining or program-changing win. I still think Clemson's the more talented team, and I think that wins out in the end, especially along the trenches. Got to protect the football, though. Duke is one of those teams that they were one of the best in the country at forcing turnovers last year. So to me, it starts with protecting the football, making good decisions, and putting pressure on Riley Leonard, not letting him dictate the pace, kind of winning the battle at the line of scrimmage, so to speak.
Based on anything that's come out in camp over the last couple weeks leading into this, it's been about 2 weeks since we talked to you. Any news in regards to injuries or anything of significance or any position battles that became a little bit clearer?
Walker Park, starting offensive lineman, was seen or reportedly seen wearing a walking boot about a week or so ago. I was told he had a sprained ankle. I asked Dabo today if he was going to be ready to go Monday night, and he said, yeah. When asked what he was most looking forward to seeing Monday night, he didn't hesitate when he said that offensive line. He thinks they've got 7 guys that can start. But since the depth chart has come out, probably the most intriguing thing on that depth chart to me was at left tackle. They've got Tristan Lee or Colin Sadler listed at, on that depth chart. Tristan Lee or Colin Sadler. Not, it's not like, it's kind of like co-starters, if that makes sense. I would fully expect Lee to run out there first, but the fact that they are listed as co-starters was a little surprising to me. It sounded like Lee has kind of been a little bit ahead. He's been in the program longer, which is so he should be a little bit ahead. But this is Sadler's second year. He was in that same class with Blake Miller, who came in and started right away, and he's got a very high ceiling, man. It would not surprise me at all if we got into the season and Sadler ends up winning that job. So that's a position battle that's not quite settled yet. Probably the most glaring thing on the depth chart for this one.
Jason, because of the defensive talent and the experience on most positions on that side of the ball, I would think that one of the most obvious things to point out in this opener that could be all over the place, we'll see, would be the rapport between Klubnik and the wide receivers, the timing, the confidence or lack of confidence that he shows in how much he's going to throw up 50-50 passes, those sorts of things, just watching them work together and see how far they've come.
I am very anxious to see the wide receivers. Wide receiver play has fallen off drastically in the past couple of years. And Dabo Swinney said today that he thinks this is the fastest team he's ever had. And I think Clemson's lacked speed out on the perimeter, the past couple of years, past few years maybe. To hear him say that, but he said by the metrics that they use, whatever that means. But to hear him say that he thinks this is the fastest team he's ever had, that was a little eye-opening. I'm ready to see that speed translate onto the field. I'm not of the opinion that every wide receiver needs elite level speed. Don't get me wrong, but I think you do need some speed. A freshman like Tyler Brown, he's probably one of the faster guys on the team. Cole Turner, second-year wide receiver, redshirt freshman, he's got wheels. Troy Stellato, who has been hurt his first 2 years, pretty much his entire time on campus, has been back the last week. He was on the depth chart this week. He's got 4.4 speed, legit 4.4 speed, but he's had a torn ACL, multiple hamstring issues the past couple of years. I think it's fair to question whether he's still got that 4.4 speed. That's kind of what I want to see. I want to see those wide receivers and where they at, or where they are at. I know that they along with Cade Klubnik spent a lot of time together during the summer, working out together, working on that time and working on the things you were talking about. So yeah, I'm kind of anxious to see that. There has been a big time drop off in production from these wide receivers, on top of the fact a bunch of them have not been able to stay healthy. I think it's imperative that Clemson keeps guys like Bo Collins and Adam Randall and Antonio Williams healthy there. That way you don't have to, start having to rely on kids that aren't ready to start to be your starter. So we'll see where they're at Monday night. I think that's one of the bigger questions coming into the season.
So much was made of the Garrett Riley addition as offensive coordinator coming in from TCU. Do you expect that we're going to be able to tell that this is a Garrett Riley offense by the formations or the pace or anything that's going to be pretty evident Monday?
I think it's going to be different. We've talked about it many times. I'm of the opinion Clemson's offense has gotten rather stale over the past few years, and it goes back to before Trevor Lawrence even left. They needed to bring somebody in there and revamp that thing. But I think you're going to see a lot more motion, a lot more window dressing, if you will. Clemson's been an offense that just has not taken much advantage of the middle of the field the last several years. I think you're going to see that change. And I think they're going to use tempo more. They talked a lot about it in the spring, a lot about it in the fall, talked a lot about it back in Charlotte at the ACC kickoff. They want to be able to go fast. I mean, I don't think you're going to see them, wide open all the time, but they want to go fast when they want to be able to go fast when they need to go fast, and they want to be able to slow it down when they need to slow it down. So, yeah, I think there are going to be some noticeable changes. I mean, you might have to look for them. I mean, things like the inside zone, which has been a staple of Clemson's offense, forever. Those kinds of things aren't going away. It's just going to be, maybe how it's displayed in the formations and the motion and those kind of things.
Jason Priester, allclemsontigers.com. Get on over there. Get yourself prepped for the big matchup at Duke on Monday night. Jason, one of the great guys in the business, does a phenomenal job. We appreciate him. We don't have a Clemson channel to the degree that we do without Jason coming on board just about every week to talk some Clemson Tigers with us. Jason, we appreciate you. And
always a pleasure, man. Don't get too tired.
Enjoy the weekend and some football on Monday night.
I'm actually going to be able to watch football this weekend. I am going to soak in every minute of it. I didn't get to watch any last weekend. I was on the road all day Saturday, all day Sunday. But with Clemson playing on Monday night, I'm going to be able to watch football all day Saturday, something I don't get to do usually on Saturday. So I am going to enjoy that. Absolutely.
Sweet. All right,
see you
Jason,
later, man.
Good stuff. Take care. It's our guy, Jason Priester, talking up the Clemson Tigers, taking on Duke, 13-point favorite